Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best class feature resources in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So, some of these refresh on long rest, some of them refresh on short rest, but they give classes and subclasses unique features such as the Battlemaster fighter getting their superiority die, or the bards getting their Bardic inspiration, which is a core feature that they have. Now, we're starting off with the Bardic inspiration, which does require you to do long rest to get them back before level 5. Afterwards, you get them back on short rest. Now, this is one of the best ones because you can add a d6, d8, or d10 to an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw. In addition, this is also the fuel for the Sword Bard's Flourishes, which is one of the best abilities you can do in the game. With a level 6 Bard, you can attack the same target 4 times with your bow, making this one of the best for a variety of reasons. You can buff your team or deal more damage yourself. So this one obviously is going up in the S tier because the Bard itself is a very powerful class, but being able to boost your allies is awesome, especially if you have like a Battlemaster fighter. Adding a D6 early game can help out with a great weapon master that may not have a high hit chance. I'd have to say this is a very solid one because the Bard itself is a powerful class. So yeah, this gives it a big boost, and without the Bardic inspiration, the Bard wouldn't really be what they do well. So next we got ourselves the arcane recovery charges. This is exclusive to the wizard, and this refreshes per long rest. Now you can get upwards of 6 charges, but you can only recover at max a level 5 spell slot. So it is nice. Being able to recover your spell slots is super useful, especially whenever you are casting lots of spells. However, the wizard doesn't cast as many spells as like a sorcerer would. So I don't know if I would really say that this one is as good as some of the others. I am going to put it probably in the B tier here because, well, it is nice. You can only recover at max level 5 spell slots, so that's a free Cone of Cold per long rest. But there's a lot of stat sticks, like you can get the Marka Heshkir staff or the Staff of Spell Power, which both give free casts, and you can shuffle that around to your different teammates, and they can all get the free spell from it. So yeah, well, it's nice. It doesn't recover a level 6 spell slot, so we'll put a B tier, maybe C tier. It is a good one, but the wizard brings much more to the table than just that. So if they didn't get this extra benefit, you would still play wizards. Yeah, so it doesn't contribute as much as like Bardic Inspiration does. Next, we got fungal infestation charges. So this is from the Circle of Spores Druid, which is one of my favorite subclasses. They raise fungal zombies with this. So at level 6, you get your fungal infestation charges. And what's nice about the zombies is they can bring up more zombies. So yeah, they're level 3 zombies. They have 9 hit points, 8 armor class, but you can buff them up further with aid to give them a bit more health. And as I was talking about earlier with the staffs, you can also give a cleric the staff. They can upcast 8 at level 6, give them a bunch of extra health. So they're actually pretty good. Now you only get 4 fungal infestation charges, so it's just fair in terms of what you get. I think that the best version of the Spore Druid is actually with 6 levels of the Necromancer Wizard, so you can summon up double the amount of zombies. But yeah, these aren't bad. At worst, they just tank 4 hits for your team. At best, they can obviously tank a lot more than that. So I like the zombies just because Necromancers are good in Baldur's Gate 3 for directing attacks away from your allies, because when you have zombies, they typically are going to have a lower armor class, which will draw the AI to attack them more frequently. So fungal infestation charges, I'll probably put a B tier. If we got more than just 4, it'd be higher on this list, but yeah, they're pretty solid, and it makes the Spore Druid like a pretty useful class. Next, we got the Lay Hands charges. So this is this is exclusive to the Paladin. And there's 3 different versions of it. There's Lay Hands Cure, Lay Hands Greater Healing, and Lay Hands Lesser Healing. So they give different amounts of health depending on your Paladin level times 2. For the Lesser Healing, Greater Healing does Paladin level times 4. And Lay Hands Cure will get rid of disease and poison. So not bad, but as a Paladin, you're doing many other things with Lay Hands. So, I mean, it is useful, but they also have other resources that is much more useful than this, which we'll get to a bit later on. Like, they have different resources, I guess. The Paladin's not bad. I would probably put this one in the C tier. I mean, it's good to have extra healing. We'll put it probably top of C tier to B tier, somewhere around there. Not a game breaker if you don't have Lay Hands charges. Like, there's some people I talk to that don't even realize that you got Lay Hands charges. So, yeah, the Paladin's a great class, but you're really playing a Paladin because you want smites, let's be honest, or your aura of protection. Lay Hands is just an extra benefit, not as beneficial as some of the others. Next, we got Rage. Now, Rage is really a major component of the Barbarian, so only available in combat. But what Rage does is you gain resistance against physical damage, and if you're a Bearheart Barbarian, you get resistance to all damage types except for Psychic, so that's pretty good. You deal extra 2 melee and melee damage and 2 throwing damage. You get advantage on strength checks and saving throws. And you can't rage while you're in heavy armor, but you're not going to want to anyway. So this is pretty good. The Barbarian typically wants to be in rage as much as possible because they deal more damage and they have a lot more tankiness. So I would have to say rage charges are up there with S tier as well, because this is a core defining feature of the Barbarian, whereas some of these other ones just don't bring us the same level of benefit as like the Bardic Inspiration or Rage do. So yeah, I'll say S tier for that one. It's fun to play a Barbarian. If you're not sure what Barbarian to take, Berserker, solid choice. The Bearheart Barbarian gives you, again, resistance to all damage types except for Psychic. And the Tigerheart Barbarian gives you a cleave attack that you can do twice. And it applies bleed to targets, which you can further stop their movement speed with. So Rage is awesome. Next, we got ourselves War Priest charges. So this is actually a very solid one as well. Basically, it gives you a bonus action attack. This is exclusive to the War Domain Cleric. Now, at level 1, you get 3 of these. So that's 3 bonus action attacks. If you're looking to min-max a fighter, it's actually probably best to add a level of War Cleric, because you'll get your 3 attacks from your fighter, and then you can add a single level to get 3 bonus action attacks. So that's 3 more turns of attacking 4 times, which is huge. So this is obviously a really good action you want to have, because extra attacks are very nice. It doesn't work the same way an extra attack does. You don't get 3 attacks from that, but I'd have to say high A tier, maybe even S tier. I personally think War Domain Cleric is the single best single level dip in the game, because it gives you heavy armor and these 3 action attacks. So bonus action attacks, really great. So yeah, high A tier to S tier. Next we got sorcery points, and I got a sorcerer here to be able to show it off what the fanciness is with this. So the nice thing about the sorcerer is they got the ability to twin spells. So you can twin haste to yourself and you can twin it to someone else. That is extremely useful, because when you haste yourself, you get a free casting of haste, or you get a free casting because you get another action. But that other person also gets the attack more. So if you put it on a Battlemaster fighter, outside of honor mode, they can attack 6 times, which is crazy. And it also is huge on casters, because that allows you to cast 2 spells. So you can cast a Cone of Cold and a Chain Lightning. You know, you got a lot of options for versatility there. So twin spell is huge. There's also things like our distance spell, which will increase the distance of your spells. So you can see there we're able to hit way over to the other side of the building. So distance spell increases distance by 50%, and melee spells will hit from 9 feet away. So you can do this from pretty far away, just a regular old cantrip that's at a close range. Quicken spell is probably the best usage of a sorcery point, allowing you to bonus action. So you can spell cast and then do another one as a bonus action. So that one requires 3 sorcery points. And there's also like Heighten spell, which will, whenever there's a saving throw, it gives the enemy disadvantage on their saving throw, which is really nice. There's also subtle spell, which allows you to cast spells while silenced. And there's also extended spell, which doubles the duration of conditions, summons, and surfaces created by spells. And then there's careful spell, which allies automatically succeed their saving throws. So lots of choices there. There's also going to be an empowered spell, and that's the image that I'm using here for this sorcery, because empowered spell would have re-rolled your damage. So basically you would get advantage on the damage rolls, which would have been pretty nice to have, honestly, for 3 sorcery points. This was in early access. I understand why they took it out. Another little thing that I'll show you guys, a little trick, is with your if you have the Shield of Devotion, which I don't see it here, or the necklace that gives you the additional spell slot. So if you take this, you get an additional level 2 spell slot. What you can do is you can convert all your spell slots into sorcery points, and then turn your sorcery points back into spells. So you can make level 6 spell slots that way. And if you really want to cheese it, you can use the Shield of Devotion or that necklace to you can unequip it, equip it, create it into sorcery points, unequip it, equip it, turn it into sorcery points on repeat, and then you got an unlimited amount of sorcery points, so an unlimited amount of spells. It is a little bit game breaking if you do that, so don't fully recommend it if you want to play an honorful run, but sorcery points are high A tier to problem. I would have to say S tier. Being able to quicken a spell, quicken spell is what's carrying this, because you can cast 2 spells per turn. A warlock can't do that. A wizard can't do that. It just makes the sorcerer such a very powerful class. So, and if you also have haste, that's 3 spells per turn. That's borderline crazy. It's 3 fireballs. Yeah. And if you really go, wild with it, you can add a level of the Rogue Thief, or 3 levels of Rogue Thief to give yourself 4 spells per turn, which is absurd. So yeah, that one is probably an S tier choice as well. Next we got ourselves, this is the, no, this Channel Divinity. We'll go with the, I guess this one is the Tides of Chaos charges. So this is interesting. This is exclusive to the Wild Magic Sorcerers, which I think are pretty fun, but basically what Tides of Chaos does is a reaction that grants advantage on your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, but it increases the surge of wild magic. So whenever you cast a spell, you have a 50% chance then of casting one of the wild magic. So you could drop Fireball on your team. You could give yourself a big benefit. You could also turn your teammates into cats and dogs. You don't know what's going to happen with the Tides of Chaos. So this is a really fun one, but it does have a drawback of increasing, or positive, depending on how you look at it, of increasing the wild magic surges. This is a decent one, but I'm probably going to put it up in the C tier, or down the C tier, just because it's not like a... It's good, but it's more so a fun class. Like, you're not going to play a wild magic sorcerer to be powerful. So in terms of its strength, it's probably C tier, unfortunately. It's still something that I like personally myself, but just being realistic here, that's probably where it's going to sit. So next we got wild shape charges. So these refresh on short rest. So with these, you get it 2 charges. You can get a third one with the Hat of Wild Shape, or Hat of Shape Shifter. Basically, these refresh, and this is what a Druid would rely on heavily, because they are wanting to be in their wild shape form. At least the Moon Druid wants to be in wild shape form often. You do use these as a Spore Druid to go into your symbiotic entity form, and a Land Druid has these to fall back on. The Moon Druid uses it as a bonus action, so they can wild shape and attack in the same turn, whereas a Land Druid could do it as an action. So it's a little bit trickier for Land Druids. It's more so for tankiness, but wild shape is huge. I'd have to say probably top of the A tier, because you play a Druid, you can't... If you couldn't wild shape as a Druid, it's probably a true S tier, but I'll put it high at the A tier just because it is kind of the core mechanic of the class, whereas Rage, as a Barbarian, you don't have to Rage. As a Bard, you don't have to use your Bardic Inspiration, but I mean, they're just so powerful that you want to. This could be probably an S tier choice too, though, so it's entirely up to you. Now, there is another class specific for Gale. So Gale, if you play as Origin Gale, you get an additional level 3 spell slot that you can only use once your other level 3 spell slots are out. So I didn't include that on the list, but probably like B tier. I don't know if I could put it too high, just because, I mean, it is good, but not like a game-breakingly good option. So yeah, that's where we're putting that one. Next we got... we got Lucky Dice. So Lucky Dice are actually an interesting one. You have to choose a lucky perk. So luck points you get per long rest. You get 3 of these. Basically, it gives advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws. Or you can make an enemy reroll their attack rolls. This is really good. I'd have to say probably like a high A tier. Yeah, it's a solid feat. If you choose it, you're going to use it. So also the Halfling gets luck too. So that's another way that you can get luck, is by playing as a Halfling. So they're pretty okay. They're pretty good race to choose. So, I guess we got Channel Divinity next, and or key points. I guess key points are an essential for a monk, because that's really what you use for like your topple of blows, your flurry. Most of your attacks are key based, so stunning strike, key empowered punches. If you play as a 4 elements monk, you have to use these for your spells. So if you want to drop a fireball, it's 4 of these. It gets pretty expensive, but you can refresh them. Each of the monks have a way to regenerate these, and there's also the Sentient Amulet, which will restore key points. I mean, the monk wouldn't function without key points. It's probably another S tier, but I'm just going to put it in the A tier, because it's kind of similar to Wild Shape. It's essential for a monk to have key points. When they run out, their damage drops quite a bit, especially the open hand monk. So yeah, that is where we're going to put that one. So next we got ourselves the Channel Divinity charges. Now, there's many different ways that this can go, because this is a level 2 feature that the cleric gets. They get Turn Undead. That's not what you want to use your Channel Divinity for. For the Life Cleric, they get Preserve Life, which gives 3 times their character level hit points, so big heal. Radiance of the Dawn from the Light Cleric, which gives a 2d8 of radiant damage plus character level radiance damage, which is huge. My personal favorite Channel Divinity is the Destructive Wrath from the Tempest Cleric. This allows you to do maximum amount of damage. So if you got let's say you went 10 levels of Sorcerer and you got 2 levels of Cleric, You can use the Marka Heshkir staff to cast Chain Lightning, and if you create water setup, it guarantees it does 168 damage or 170 damage. It's incredibly powerful. So Channel Divinities are super useful, especially if you go with Tempest Cleric. It just becomes game-breakingly busted in terms of how strong it is. The War Cleric also has the Guided Strike, which can adds 10 to an attack roll, so you're basically guaranteed to land on your next attack. So that's another nice benefit of that. So I have to put that up high. It's a pretty good choice. So next we got ourselves the Channel Oath charges. So these are exclusive to the Paladin, and the Paladin has a few different ones. Like the Ancients has the Healing Radiance, the Devotion has Holy Rebuke, and the Oath of Vengeance Paladin has the Inquisitor's Might. The Oathbreaker has Spiteful Suffering. So these are bonus actions, adds extra damage. Holy Rebuke will add additional 1d4 damage to anyone that hits with a melee attack. It requires an action. You can also use like Nature's Wrath, Turn the Faithless, Turn the Unholy, Vow of Enmity, Abjure Enemy, Conjure Undead, Dreadful Aspect. Like there's a bunch of different benefits from these. They're just okay though. I'll put it probably like top of the B tier. It is better in Lay Hands, I think, but again, you only get one charge, so yeah, it's kind of pick and choose what you think works best. Probably somewhere around there. And yeah, next we got ourselves Superiority die. So this is exclusive to the Battlemaster fighter. This is great because it allows you to use Riposte, which will add a 1d10 to your, or 1d8, and then it goes up to 1d10 to your attack roll. If an enemy attacks you and misses, you can attack them back and deal additional damage. You can also do things like Menacing Attack or Trip Attack. There's a bunch of different ones that are very powerful. So this is probably a high A tier choice as well. This is just super useful to have. So yeah, that is one that we really want to use. If you're a Battlemaster fighter, you pretty much are using that consistently. So yeah, that is one that we want to have up high. I don't know which one this one was. I think I actually, no, this is Nature Recovery charges. Jeez, I completely missed on this one. So this is exclusive to the Druid, Land Druid. Basically, it gives you a spell slot back. It's the same thing as the wizard version of it. It just gives you an additional level 5 spell slot at max. Same formula for how it's going to give back the spell slot. So it's okay, but not the best. So yeah, some of these other ones provide much more benefit, like Bardic Inspiration. That's huge for a bard. Rage, can't imagine a Berserker Barbarian without Rage, because it's just, that's their whole shtick. You can do it without Rage, but it's better with Rage. Sorcery points makes a sorcerer extremely powerful. And Channel Divinity on the Cleric. Max damage lightning. Every other Channel Divinity being pretty good as well. But some of these here, like our Wild Shape form, it's essential for a Druid. The key points in Druid are probably like actual S tiers, but I don't want to have this list too unbalanced, so I'm putting them on the top of the A tier, because without Wild Shape, you can still attack as a Land Druid. You're still going to be able to cast spells as any type of Druid. Without key points, you can still attack. You can still do damage. So there's my logic and reasoning. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.